Great. I think we are ready to get started.
We are.
What do you think, John?
Yeah, let's get this show on the road.
All right. Well, I want to say welcome again to everyone who's joined us. Thank you so much for being with us here at the Action Center this morning. We are really looking forward to this conversation. Today's topic is about the Action Center's Legacy Path Society. And that is a group of really special people who have made the Action Center a big priority for them and have decided to put us in their estate. And so John Covert is going to tell us a little bit more. John, will you just explain to those who've logged on today, why is this Legacy Path Society such an important group of people for the Action Center?
Yeah, absolutely. You know, it is. The Action Center's Legacy Path Society is important because it really begins to help people answer a question that I think we all have. And that really is, when my time here on this world is done, how will I be remembered? Will I be remembered? What is my legacy in this world? And so the Action Center's Legacy Path Society is just one option that people have that will help them kind of answer that question, kind of resolve what that is. And that typically is created through folks will leave us in their a bequest in their will. It's a very simple process, naming the Action Center as part of their bequest. They might also make us a beneficiary of an insurance policy that maybe the purpose is no longer needed any longer. So you can make the Action Center a beneficiary there, or maybe even of a bank account in your system. We can be the beneficiary of the account. So there's some very simple methods that can take place. But I think the one that really helps answer that question of, will I be remembered? What is my legacy on this world? Is when people will put us as a bequest in their will, and they indicate that it goes to our endowment program. So we have an endowment fund that is restricted, and people can put into that endowment fund or create one under their name. And that the money is set into a pool, and we never, ever, ever touch the principal. And so only the interest that's generated from that endowment fund is used to help fund programs and services at the Action Center. So your gift literally is something that we'll give in perpetuity, forever, and making sure that folks in our community that are experiencing a hardship for whatever reason get the resources that they need to continue to follow a pathway to becoming more self-sufficient. So our Legacy Path Society are our special people. And they have really shown that they have a generous heart to not only the Action Center, but also to the community that they live in to make it a better place for others. So that's why it's so important.
Thank you, John. You know, it really occurred to me as you were talking that this is a way for individuals who have found the Action Center to be such an important part of their community and their way of giving back while they're with us on this earth. So those who are already involved and engaged and are really excited about what the Action Center is doing for our community have a way of knowing that that can continue and that they can continue to be a part of it. And, you know, we have two people with us today that I want to introduce who are just the most wonderful example, living example of that kind of commitment and dedication to the Action Center, and two people who plan to carry that on into the future.
Fabulous. I can't wait to talk to them.
So I am actually shortly going to leave and bring onto the TV station here Larry and Shirley Bradsby. And let me just tell you a little bit about Larry and Shirley, because they have such a huge place at the Action Center and a huge place in my heart personally as I've gotten to know them in the last couple of years. So Shirley Bradsby has been an active volunteer in the Action Center community for over 50 years. Wow. She has played so many critical roles for the Action Center. She has been on our board of directors. She was our board chair for a while. Shirley has headed up and been president of our Santa Shop event and managed that whole event for us. She won a very special Volunteer of the Decade award. Wow. I don't know if you knew that, John.
Did not know that.
In our 40th anniversary celebration. So before my time here and before your time here, Shirley outdates both of us. Yep. And has just been contributing so generously to the Action Center, all of her talent and time, and of course as a generous donor to the Action Center for so many years. Her husband Larry has also been incredibly important to the Action Center. And he has worked magic in another way with their involvement at Holy Shepherd Church. So he has strengthened our relationship with Holy Shepherd Church and made sure that there's an ongoing relationship and commitment from the church to continue to support the work of the Action Center through volunteer engagement, through donations that come in regularly. They have just both been sort of the star example of what it means to show in a very concrete way that you believe in the mission of the Action Center, that you want to be here for the community yourself, and you found the Action Center as a great mechanism through which to show that commitment. So we want to thank Shirley and Larry for all they do and welcome them today to talk a little bit about why they chose to be a part of our Legacy Path Society.
Wow, sounds like we need to get them capes and call them the dynamic duo.
I think that would be a great idea. Maybe we ought to do that. So I'm going to leave now. We want to socially distance ourselves, and it would be a little too crowded if I stayed on. But I'm going to leave and welcome them to the set, and I know you're going to enjoy the conversation.
Right, wonderful. Great. Oh, yeah, our studio audience is clapping. They're quite happy to have you here. Come on in.
That was a great introduction. Thank you.
Yeah, well, welcome to ACTV.
Well,
I
yeah,
think we're
how
going to use that
about
as our new
that?
term,
Yay.
ACTV, Action Center TV. And so welcome to our studio. Really thrilled to have you both with us, and
Thank you.
really looking forward to hearing a little bit more about you, and again, why you chose the Action Center to help develop your personal legacy. So let me just begin first by asking you really what motivated you to first get involved at the Action Center 50 years ago.
Really? Yeah, well, I was at a meeting of Church Women United in 1968, and we just had a wonderful presentation about Martin Luther King. And we started talking about, well, what could we do in our community to help other people, to show our love for others, and what's really needed in Jefferson County. So we started talking to a bunch of other groups, and from that, we started like a clothing and food bank at Lakewood Methodist Church. So ever since then, I've been involved with something around the Action Center.
Oh, that's amazing. So I know that you have a story that you could share with us about really what motivates you to be a part. You have a lifelong friend that, can you share that story with us just briefly while we have some time?
Sure. Larry and I went to the same high school, and we had a good friend, Mary Kay, who, man, she was everything, right? She was a cheerleader and a singer and all that stuff. And when we came out here to teach, she did too, but we were in Jeffco and she was in another district. So one time she was driving her car and she had an accident and killed everyone in the car. She was the only one that survived, and she was never the same after that. Her parents had both passed away. She had no lifeline anywhere, and she was living in her car. So we went back for a reunion, and I said to the chair, well, where's Mary Kay? Because she usually showed up for the reunions. And he said, oh, I thought you knew. She froze to death in her car.
Wow.
Well, the more I worked at the Action Center, the more I realized we have Mary Kays coming through our doors every day.
Right.
And that keeps me going, because I know there are people out there who literally we have saved their lives.
Yeah, absolutely. What an amazing story.
Yeah.
So, Shirley, you seem to be awfully busy. Larry, how in the world do you keep up with this lady?
Well, as Shirley, I've always told people my role in life is to keep Shirley going. But as Shirley became more and more involved in the Action Center, we would talk about what's happening and what's going on, and all her great ideas needed support. And so I would help carry out these functions that needed to be done. For example, Shirley had this idea that at our church we could do the Thanksgiving giving of food and have a food drive for the Action Center. Well, we did that, but somebody had to take all that food and put it in their truck and
Right.
haul it over and unload it at the Action Center. So those are the type of things. I've helped paint the Action Center. I've helped repair at the early stages. We had to repair the steps going into the, so all these things needed to be done.
Yeah.
But Shirley had such enthusiasm about the Action Center. And I remember one time we came here and we were doing some probably sorting food or whatever. And the volunteer would come up and say, I'm an FOS. I
Huh.
said, you're a what? I'm an FOS. She said, that's a friend of Shirley. And so Shirley has a special group of volunteers that call themselves the FOS.
Nice.
Another thing though is that through our church, I'm on the mission committee, in which is our outreach program. And all of our outreach programs go through the mission committee and the things we do. And I help as the treasurer of the mission committee. We've, because we're so close to the Action Center and we have lots of volunteers and everything, it's an important part of our operation and of our giving and our love to others through the giving. And we've designated a percentage of all of our giving income for the month to the Action Center. So every month the Action Center receives a check for whatever the giving was through our church. And I think that's an important thing for maybe other churches to consider, that the Action Center be built in as part of the operation, really, of our giving.
Yeah,
at the
what a
church.
great concept. Yeah, easy to do for sure. But you kind of touched on a little bit about your motivations. But what I'd really like to, I guess, understand a little bit more is what motivates your philanthropic giving and support. I mean, I've heard a lot about your volunteering, your time, which is a great, valuable resource that well over 4,000 people do that to keep the Action Center going. But on the philanthropic side, financial side, what motivates you to be philanthropic just in general, not necessarily just to the Action Center, but where does your philanthropic desire come from?
Well, we both know that we were put on this earth to pass God's love to other people. I mean, that's why we're here. So how do you do that? We were challenged, I think, as we started accumulating stuff, to think, well, we've got stuff, but what about, truly meaningful things to do with the resources we have? We started talking about how can we best use what we have, not just for us, we have plenty of stuff, but for others. Since our children are all successful, we can share our estate with more than just our family. We've modeled our belief in volunteering with our children and grandchildren. Our children are all giving members of the Self-Sufficiency Society, and they also participate in a lot of things that go on at the Action Center. Our recently retired director of volunteer programs, Barb Penning, she and I were talking. She said, I knew your grandchildren when they were in grade school and they were volunteering. Now they're in college and they're still coming and volunteering. So we have that part done, and we feel like we can share those resources that we do have. Being involved with the Action Center, we knew this was something we wanted to support. Each year, you have more needs than you had the year before.
Correct.
And we know that that's going to continue, and it will continue long after we're gone.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, as we discussed a legacy giving for the Action Center, one of our money men, a
Yeah.
consultant, we met and discussed and talked about what we might do. And he did some investigating for us and came up with several ideas. As you mentioned, John, there's a lot of ways to give
Right.
into the legacy program. And we decided that the best for us would be a life insurance policy for several reasons. One is that we could take this little pot and save it and give it to the Action Center in our will, but things weren't growing very well and in our economy. And he said probably the life insurance would be the best because your pot will double,
Wow.
by buying life insurance, and it's guaranteed. And when you're gone, we'll write a check and it'll go right to the Action Center. There's no probate, no any of that stuff. And so it seemed like that was probably the best route for us to go.
Right.
So if you've got a little pot, you can increase that pot, I think, too. As long as we're living,
Right.
we can make it worth more
Yeah.
than I could if I put it in a CD or something like that, which isn't really growing much today.
Right.
So that was the way that we decided to go,
Yeah.
rather than just giving and saving an amount and giving it to the Action Center to get a life insurance policy.
Right. It really speaks to the importance of having a will. So many Americans don't even have a will, which creates all kinds of challenges. But you also mentioned, you spoke to your financial advisor. How important was that discussion as you were considering placing the Action Center in your estate plans? How important was that discussion that you had with this individual?
Well, like I said, he did some research for us, and that was really good, because I don't think I would have thought about a life insurance
Right.
policy. I would have just tried to invest it or save it and leave it in the will. But I think, having some financial advice, because we don't know all of that stuff, and that's their role.
Sure.
So that's,
Yeah.
again, finding an expert rather than an amateur to do the work.
Right. Yeah, absolutely. Sure. I'm gonna get outside of our questions, but I'm just gonna ask you just real quick. When you made the decision and you went ahead and put the Action Center in your estate plans through this insurance policy, how did that make you feel?
Yeah, well, really good, to think that, as I think you said in your introduction, it's to realize that maybe what you give can keep giving is amazing. And this place is so dear to our hearts, and it's been going for 52 years. We want it to go for hundreds of years.
Yeah.
I don't know how long, but it's always going to be needed, and to be able to help support that is very gratifying. Very gratifying. And our kids are all for that too. They're like, boy, that's terrific.
Yeah.
So
That's wonderful. It's that old saying, the more you give, the more you get.
for sure.
And that really is also, very tied into our mission, where we're really here to give to others that are experiencing a hardship.
Yeah.
And, I think we get great gratification knowing that we've helped somebody in our community just get through maybe a difficult time.
Yeah.
And really that's what your gift is going to do for many, many years after we're all left this earth and gone to other places.
Yeah.
Well, there's no doubt that you feel so much better after doing something for others
Right.
than doing something for yourself. And that's following up. It's such a blessing, really,
Right.
to be able to do that.
Oh, it's wonderful. Yeah, absolutely.
It really is.
So, well, let's just pause here for a minute. I'm going to just let you, if you have some questions for either the Action Center or for Larry and Shirley, go ahead and type them into the chat field. We'd be more than happy to answer any questions that you might have. These are wonderful people that have been supporting us for many, many years. And it's inspiring to me to meet folks like you. It just makes my role here at the Action Center so much more enjoyable and makes me enjoy coming to work each and every day. So thank you very much for what you've done for us. Absolutely.
Mhm.
So again, if you have any questions that you have for us right now, that'd be wonderful to answer those. Larry and Shirley, if you have anything you'd like to add to this conversation, we'd love to kind of open that up to whatever you have.
Well, I guess I'd like to talk a little bit about what drives our giving a little
Sure.
bit more. I'm just so proud of what the Action Center has become. We started, like I said, in that room in a church. Then we bought this school temporary building that wasn't in very good shape, was it? No. And put that on the land there at the Lakewood Methodist Church. Then we were able to get enough funds to buy actually this building, which was the Lakewood Post Office. And I thought we'd have so much room we would never, ever, need anything else. Well, of course, we've grown out of that. And then we were able to buy the building next door, which has been turned into a beautiful service area. So as families come, it's a welcoming environment. We have a place over here where our volunteers can work and sort clothes or do all the different things they need to do in a nice environment where they're not just kind of bunched in places with a leaky roof or whatever. So it's really interesting. When we started, we had about 25 families a day.
Okay.
My friend was on the front desk, and she said she always took her knitting.
25 a month.
25 a month.
Oh.
I'm sorry. 25 a month. Yeah. She took her knitting because a lot of days they didn't even have anybody come in. Well, John and I were just talking. I think you said you're seeing about 110
On average, yeah.
on average
A day.
a day.
Yeah,
That's not a
a day.
month. Yeah, with all the COVID things that are going on. And before that, you were still seeing what, 65?
65 on average would go through our self-select grocery program.
Yeah, amazing. A day.
A day.
A day. Yeah, I think if my friend was still alive, she would be overwhelmed
Yeah.
to know that that's how much it's grown. And they have a 52-year history of helping our neighbors. Each year, we've been able to help over 20,000 people in Jeffco and those experiencing homelessness in various ways. We have about 90% of our programming, 90% of the giving for programming,
Mhm.
because our volunteers, our staff are very cognizant of that money and how to use it. And our volunteer program has helped that so much. We have more than 44,000 volunteers work at the Action Center each
It's
year.
amazing.
It is amazing.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
So we did have a question that came in for you too.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
We have, you mentioned self-sufficiency, and we have a viewer that is kind of interested if you could explain what is a self-sufficiency society member? What is that all about?
Okay, sure. About 12 years ago, we started a program for pledge giving. And we called it the Self-Sufficiency Society. And with that, we have pledged to give at least $1,000 a year for 5 years.
Great.
And so everyone who signs up for self-sufficiency knows that this is a commitment, and the Action Center knows that they have this money coming in to help them, along with all the benefits you get from that too.
Right. Yeah, pledge it's really is a multi-year pledge program that really helps the Action Center as we do our budgeting, as we look at what is the need that we see in our community. We try to project out more than a day or two. We're trying to project out years, and are we able to continue to meet that need? And when we have folks that are part of our self-sufficiency society, like you folks, we know that each year there's $1,000 coming in from this family. And we can properly budget and make sure that we have the resources that we need to do these extra services. So self-sufficiency society, our monthly donors are really incredibly vital to the sustainability and the stability of what we do each and every day, which is really important.
And it's great. It's a great group of people. We get together once in a while for
Right.
different projects here. And it's really,
Yeah.
just a giving bunch of people who
Yeah.
enjoy what
It's
they're
always
doing.
great to get together with people of like mind
Yeah,
and,
Yeah.
and just enjoy helping other folks.
yeah, you bet.
So we did have another question that came in, and either myself or our executive director, if she pops back in, can answer this question. But Tim and Ashley have asked, what is the greatest need at the Action Center right now? And I think what I would share with you is that probably one of the largest needs we have is rent assistance. And folks are really struggling to keep up with the rent. They're struggling with unemployment. I believe as of the end of July, CPR said that we're at 12.7% unemployment in Colorado. And so people are really struggling to stay in their homes. And so if you look at from the beginning of March, kind of when all this COVID stuff started hitting, we've been distributing funds that we've been receiving for rent assistance. And we've exceeded 390,000 in rent assistance that we've distributed.
That's wonderful.
390,000. And let me put that in perspective for you. If you look at what we did all of last year, we did about $98,000 in rent assistance in all of last year.
Wow.
And so, and that need is going to continue to grow. One of the challenges that we do have, a lot of this money is through our CARES Act grants that are coming in. And, again, the CARES Act has some stipulations around it. For example, you have to prove that your rental challenge is because of COVID. If you can't prove it's because of COVID, you don't qualify. And so one of the things we're trying to do is build up an unrestricted fund that we can have available for folks that say, well, you know what, it isn't COVID related, but I'm still at risk of losing my housing.
Sure.
And we want to be able to help them.
Good.
And so rental assistance is super important. We also have, we do have need for food. Ever since we've closed our dock, food donations over our dock have greatly diminished. And so, either whether it's giving us cash to buy more food, which is what we're doing on a monthly basis, or continuing to donate food product, super important for the Action Center. So those are probably our two greatest needs that are necessary to keep the ball rolling. All right, we have another question coming in. We're doing good.
Okay.
All right, it says, if I want to give regularly, but am concerned about long-term pledge, how can I make a difference now? That's probably speaking to our Mountain Mover program.
Yeah, I think that would be good.
So Mountain Movers is something that is a little simpler than doing a long-term pledge because, get a multi-year pledge. We don't know what tomorrow is going to bring. We just don't. And so many folks have signed up for a reoccurring gift on a monthly basis. So they'll maybe say, hey, I can do $25 or I can do $100 a month, whatever it is they're capable of doing. But the nice thing is they can control that. You can turn it off, you can turn it on, you can increase it, or you can decrease it, whatever your current life situation or budget dictates, you can manage that. And we call that the Mountain Mover Society. Another great group of folks that are like-minded that want to support the Action Center. And it's a simple way, you just kind of set it up. It can either come through your credit card or we can actually do a bank withdrawal from your checking or savings. Whatever is convenient to you, we can make that happen. And you can find that on our website at theactioncenter.org and click on the donate button and you'll see all these different ways to give. So that's a wonderful way to just kind of make your giving. That's the way I get to the Action Center because I can just set it up and I forget about it and it's good to go.
I think that's a great thing. You have a lot of different options on how you'd like to give, volunteering your time, of course, and money. And then you also have a lot of different options for the legacy.
Right.
You can talk to your advisor, you can think what's good for your planning and really think about other people later.
Right.
Later when you're gone.
Yeah, absolutely. I think the key is planning, right?
Yeah, it really is.
Think ahead, meet with your financial advisor, your tax advisor, and let them know that you'd like to begin talking about leaving a legacy. And just open that dialogue. Start taking care of a will. Make sure you have a will so that you're able then to decide what to do with your assets when you pass away, as opposed to allowing the state to decide how to distribute your assets once you pass away. So it's a very important thing. I know it's sobering. We all think we're going to live forever. At least I did when I was 20.
Yeah,
I'm a little different now.
yeah,
But it is an important part of life, right? We're all going to move from this earth at some point in time. And so we want to think about how will we be remembered once we've left. And so what you folks have done for the Action Center is absolutely tremendous. And there's no words that I can even think of to express thank you
wow.
for what you've done. And for the hundreds of people that will be helped even after you've left this earth. It's just tremendous.
Well, it is our real belief that we are here to help others. And I think there's no better place than the Action Center that exemplifies how to pass that love.
Yeah.
And I don't think we do any more than hundreds of other people
Exactly.
here at the Action Center. Such a
Exactly.
wonderful group of volunteers and workers.
Wonderful.
They really are.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, thank you too. Well, we're at our time limit. We're at
Okay.
30 minutes. We know
Wow.
that you still have lunch to do. And so there are a couple things I want to just kind of close up with some housekeeping pieces. One, again, I just want to remind you, if you would take some time and write in the chat field, if there's a topic you would like us to address during these chats, please send us either an email or you can go onto our chat field and go ahead and type that in now. But also at the conclusion of this event, we're going to send out a survey that we're just going to ask you a couple of questions that will help give us some feedback. So if you would just take less than 2 minutes to fill out that survey, that would be greatly helpful. You'll see that will come to your email box. And then lastly, we're also going to send out some bonus material. For having attended, just you folks that have attended, we've got some bonus material that really talks about our Legacy Path Society. And so we'll be sending that out to you hopefully today or tomorrow. And if you have any questions about that bonus material, please don't hesitate to reach out to us. You can reach us at development@theactioncenter.org. So it's a pretty easy website or email, development@theactioncenter.org, and we'll be happy to address any questions that you might have. So thank you once again for joining us. We really
thank you.
appreciate your time. And again, thank you so much for what you do for the Action Center.
It's our pleasure.
Great. All right. Well, thank you very much, folks, for
Yeah,
joining us.
thank
We'll
you.
see you again next month. Have a great day.
Yeah.